Welcome back everyone to the GGBL. We're finally here. The time has come. Year 2 is so close. So close. I can almost taste it. We have just one more thing to do before we can officially kick off year number 2. And that's going over the rosters and giving kind of a little bit of a preview of each team and then offering up my own thoughts on how I see this season panning out. We won't actually be doing any spring training or taking a look at any of the statistics there as to how these guys did, how they performed in spring training. We're just going to dive right in, look at the lineups, look at the pitching rotation, and then we'll get an idea of where I see these teams stacking up across year 2 GGBL play. Before we start, I want to turn your attention to the description and the pinned comment of this video, where you're going to find the open submission form for prospects for year number 2, and we'll see a couple open submission prospects possibly in gameplay, and maybe do a minor league update for you guys in this season and get an idea how those 60 overall C potential open submission players are doing. But there's also my Patreon link in case you want to guarantee being in this draft class for year 2, as well as getting added perks like having a guaranteed overall rating and a guaranteed potential rating. So we will see some custom prospects here, and I'll give you examples of what those patrons earned by a monthly subscription to my Patreon. I also want to let you know that there is a Google Sheets link that has been updated for year 2 rosters. So there's 2 separate files for roster sheets. I've got one for year 1, one for year 2, and you can find that in the description, in the pinned comment. That's where that'll be. We'll also have a new file here for year number 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. In the sheet, you'll also find the uniforms, you'll find the stadium names, you'll find year 1 custom prospects, where they're at, what level that they're currently at, if they're at the major league level, GGBL level, AAA level, AA level. That way we can kind of keep track of their player movement and what they're doing. However, custom prospects are highlighted in purple on each divisional tab. So if you click on AL West, you'll see purple, you'll see some purple players, you'll see AAA level, you'll see some purple name players. Those will be custom prospects, so you kind of get an idea what these rosters are looking like. And this is for you guys to have and to hold throughout the rest of the season, so you kind of have an idea and keep track of who's got who. Also, I would be remiss to not mention, huge shout out to Portugal, a longtime viewer and a member of this channel, for helping put this together. I had been piecing this roster sheet together, and I just realized, man, if I want to get this video out by Wednesday, I gotta get some help here. So Portugal has helped out in many different series, but this one really takes the cake for me. So thank you, sir, for helping out with this. Huge round of applause for that, to knock this thing out. He did the entire American League and National League. We nipped a little bit of the teams here and there last night, but he did this whole entire thing. 10 plus hours of doing this, so thank you very much, Port. You are the real MVP, man, the real MVP. Words just can't express how appreciative I am of that. So make sure you guys thank Portugal in that live chat. All right, so let's dive in and take a look at each GGBL team. We're gonna actually start with the AL East, the AL Central, and then the AL West, and then move the same way for the National League, or the Naturals League as I like to call it, for the GGBL. I'll also be providing you some final record predictions and my own GGBL champion preseason type of pick here. So I'll probably modify my pick if things get a little haywire and crazy, and offer you guys a mid-season pick for who I think is going to win the GGBL championship. I'd love to know what you guys think, though. Who are your champions? Post it in the comment section below. I would love to know your playoffs. Just tell me who you think is going to win the whole thing. I don't care. Just post in the comment section below. Who's got the AL? Who's got the NL lockdown? Who's going to be in the championship game? I'd love to hear that from you guys. So before we actually dive in, stick around until the end of the video. Stick around, guys. Stick around. Don't leave. I have a very, very special announcement about year 2 contests. So the weekly contest will be reopened again, so you guys can have a chance at winning another custom prospect, and a little something that me and my mod team have been working on, have been brainstorming about to add on to this series to make it easier to follow and even more enjoyable overall. Now the website, I wanted to really do some things with that website, but guys, I might have bit off more than I could chew with that. The website is just, it's kind of weird. Nobody really goes to it, and I didn't get a lot of feedback about it, so the website's just not going to be a part of the series any longer. So if you want to play in the weekly contest, it'll always be in a pinned comment. It'll always be in the description for that week, and I'll let you guys know where it's at. But stick around to the end because I do have a very special announcement for the series moving forward. So let's dive in and talk about each team. All right, so here we are. We're going to be looking at the AL East, Central, and West, and then follow the same pattern with the NL. And looking at the Washington Swamp Monsters. This is a team that lost in the ALCS against the New York Pizzazz. So they could have gone. They could have made it all the way to face Carolina or St. Louis, but they just fell a little bit short. It was a little bit of a collapse with this team. But I really do still like what they've got going on. They have Andres Almanzar, a 22-year-old, 71 B potential player, can play all the middle infield spots other than, well, infield spots, but other than catcher or first base. So he's very, very solid athletically. So he's a middle infielder by trade, but he can shift over to third. You've also got Brock Holt here, who is a super utility guy. This guy had 77 RBIs. So the thing about the GGBL is a lot of guys, a lot of professional hitters like Brock Holt. You could classify him as a professional hitter, especially at this level at the GGBL. So we're going to see a pattern with some of these guys if you scroll through. A lot of the major league guys will be having career type of seasons. And Brock Holt did. 14 homers, 77 ribbies, 290, hitting number 2 in this order. I think having some protection behind him with Brandon Lau, Alexander King, Joey Votto, this is going to be yet again another strong offensive unit for Washington. And you know what? Their backups aren't bad either, right? DJ Taylor is a custom prospect. Look at the power numbers for DJ, a potential player. So he's going to be pretty good, man. 6'4", 255. He's basically the heir apparent to Joey Votto as the DH. Now, DJ Taylor does play good defense as well, so maybe Alexander King might eventually have to move to the designated hitter spot because he is more of a hitter than he is a fielder. So this is going to be a positional battle eventually one day, but DJ Taylor even could play third base. They are going to split some time here, so I won't show every lineup for all 30 teams, but just to kind of have some faith building here, guys, DJ Taylor is going to get time, and a lot of guys, a lot of things that I've noticed here is a lot of platooning is happening within the GGBL. So DJ is going to hit against lefties. He is going to get into the lineup, and eventually people that need days off, DJ is going to be able to fill that void. But good lineup for Washington. I would predict this team going 93-69 and winning the AL East. And if we go ahead and we take a look at their pitching rotation, this is another reason why is Yu Darvish. Now, their bullpen seems a little shaky, but in regards to GGBL standing, this is actually a pretty decent bullpen, and it's a team that I like. It's a team that I think is going to go far yet again. Kyle Gibson had a good ERA. Patrick Sandoval got to step it up this season. Brent Honeywell Jr. and Sean Dubin. Good pitching rotation. I like Washington. I'm predicting them to win the AL East in a close battle between New York and Michigan, but we'll talk about those teams in just a moment. Let's take a look here at Boston. Boston made some improvements in the offseason. They got Evan Gattis, namely. They also acquired Brett Lawrie. And these are two players here. Brett Lawrie played for Minnesota last year. You had Evan Gattis playing for San Francisco. And I think both these guys are going to add a little bit of thump to the lineup, something that was missing last year for Boston. I think that this team is going to improve this year, but I don't think it's going to be enough. That AL East is really, really tough. You got New York, you got Michigan, you got Washington. I just think they're going to be kind of behind the 8 ball yet again. They just need another star player. They've got Carlos Correa. Now, Mike Ford hit a bunch of home runs, hit 27 homers last year. He's going to probably do the same thing this season. But they're going to really need Miguel Geraldo to have a big season this year. He's got an A potential. He's seen some nice improvement there. But, you know, they're really going to need Mike Ford to repeat. You're going to need Alex Kirilloff to do something even better than he did last year. I think he's seeing some improvement as well as a 69 overall now, +5 in contact ratings. But Gattis, Olivares, Lawrie, that bottom third of the order is going to have to really come through for this lineup. And if we take a look at their pitching rotation, this is probably the strength, in my opinion, of this baseball team here. You got Miles McCollum getting traded from Pittsburgh, so this was a move that they tried to push themselves into that playoff mix and just couldn't get it done. But McCollum is going to become their ace. Sandy Alcantara was bad last year. 3-14. Don't really know what was going on with that, but you know, that pitching rotation seems like it's one of the best in the GGBL. And I'm serious. I think if their pitching rotation can be great, not good, I think they need to be great to kind of supplement that offense a little bit. And every now and then, if you get that bottom third to overproduce in some games, in some series throughout the season, I think that this team could be another sleeper in potential for year number 2. But you got Kohei Arihara, decent pitcher. You got Jared Cherry, was a rookie last year, 10-10, 3.32, 1.12. I think he's going to be good again. I think Jared Cherry's going to be a nice little lefty option for them. They got a decent bullpen in there too. So watch out for Boston. I predict them to be coming in 4th in the AL East at 82-80. I think they'll try to make a little bit of a push for the playoffs, but I think between New York, Michigan, Washington, you know, Boston's just kind of the odd man out. Okay, let's talk about New York. The GGBL champion runner-ups from last season. Custom prospect Bendito Ramirez, a 75A potential player. This would be a $20 patron player. Entering his rookie season as a 21-year-old from Puerto Rico as a speedster, defensive wizard, and really good contact numbers. Some decent power numbers there as well. So Bendito's going to be a player for this New York team, and he's got protection. Will Wilson had a pretty solid season at the number 2, lower the order type of hitter. Bryce Harper won the Triple Crown in the GGBL. He's going to be a beast again. 95 contact, 95 power. Hits lefties a little bit worse, but that still is really good GGBL-wise. He's going to be a beast again. Nicky Delmonico was clutch. Sam Travis was good. 22 homers, 271. That's solid. That'll play. Evan Longoria is going to give it another go. Randy Florentino, though, is going to take the job from Jose Trevino, which is a very interesting development here because Trevino was pretty solid for them down the stretch, at least defensively. But we look at Florentino, he's a little bit better. He's got a stronger arm. The fielding is a little bit less at 49, so I'm not sure about the blocking. Offensively, they're about the same type of player, but Florentino, they really like the arm strength there behind the plate, so we'll have to see how that plays out. I think New York might have a better pitching season with a better defensive catcher back there. But Eric Mejia is now getting the call over Jake Hager. And if you look at the numbers here, we can see they're pretty similar in what they do. But, you know, Jake Hager's 28 years old, C potential. Eric Mejia is 73, 26, and a B potential. So it's like, who you going to go with? You got to go with Eric Mejia, in my opinion here. But they also did get Asdrubal Cabrera through free agency. They got Steven Souza Jr. from free agency. So this team still looks like they're going to be pretty good. I don't know if they're going to be able to hang with Washington, though. Washington is my team in the East. I think New York will go 90-72 and finish in second place in the AL East. But if we look at that pitching rotation, that's just kind of the question mark again for New York, at least for me. Casey Mize, he should take the next step this season again. He should have some more improvement at 23 years old with an A. You got Shevchuk, the custom player, had a really good season for a rookie, 291, 100 Ks. He clipped that 100K mark, 125. But Chase Shugart, 5.5. De La Rosa kind of been bouncing back and forth between the rotation and bullpen. Then you got Paul Blackburn, 3.79, 13-5. He's a really good number 5 as far as GGBL standards go. But it's that bullpen. You know, they lost Anthony Gose. They lost Tommy Hunter. Trevor May's going to have to step in to be their closer. Tommy Hunter really helped this team. Their bullpen was probably a strength for them. Being able to shut games down, get to the 7, maybe basically just get games to 7 innings versus 9. So New York is going to be a good team again, but I just don't think they're going to win it. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't think they're going to win the division. Possible sleeper team here in Pittsburgh. You got Aaron Judge, who had a turnaround season for the ages. This guy was terrible for the first half of the season. If you guys remember this, he was hitting under 200 for a long time. And then he ended the year with 38 homers, 259, 92 ribbies, totally turned his season around. And I think now that he's got some more improvement with the lineup here, I think Pittsburgh might surprise this season. Plus, considering you've got Andrew McCutchen here, who's on the bench right now because he's got 34 contact. He's playing against lefties. You also got Scott Kingery, gives more depth to this team. You got JJ Bleday, who's going to be just fine as a 23-year-old A potential player. Hit 23 homers last year. He's going to be good. You got Connor Altman, 8 homers, 218. He's going to improve as well. I think this is a sleeper type of team. You got Logan Forsythe, who played well for Chicago. I don't like them to make the playoffs, but I think they'll go 81-81. I think they'll improve from last season. I could be surprised. We could all be surprised, and they could easily make the playoffs just on a random run. They could be like a St. Louis Cardinals in real life, winning 16 games in a row or something. They've got some decent pitching. All in all, I mean, Ryan Weathers was decent on a bad team. Only had 4.79, 1.41. He didn't get the wins, didn't get the quality starts enough to. He didn't get the offensive support, is what I'm trying to say. 140 Ks. Balazovic was a part of a trade from Boston, so he's going to be taking the next step. Joey Murray, Martin Tate, custom player, went 9-5, 3.66, and then Nick Bitsko, top 50 prospect. He's coming up. Bullpen looks like it's pretty solid as well. So, Pittsburgh, we could be looking at this team as if we're selling them short here. So I kind of like Pittsburgh as a sleeper type of team, but I got them finishing in last in a very, very competitive AL East. Last but not least, we have a team here in Michigan who is one of the best teams in the GGBL all season long. And then at the very last moment, the last series of the year against New York, they couldn't quite get it done to get that wild card spot, and unfortunately lost their push to the playoffs. I still think Michigan is a very solid team. It's a very good team with Alex Bregman. Anytime you got Bregman in that middle of the order, that's going to be tough. But you know what? This middle of the order, I'm not going to be fooled here by these numbers. There's 70 overall players. Bobby Bradley and Daniel Palka. They had good years last year. But is it going to translate to this year? Every year is a new year. Is Daniel Palka going to progress? Is he going to do his thing like he did last year? He's 30 years old. See potential. Is he going to fall off? Bobby Bradley, 25 years old, B potential. Maybe I'm selling him short a little bit too. But I think this lineup is totally dependent at the top with Hoyjun Park, Geraldo Perdomo. Obviously, you need Greg. Bregman's going to do his thing, but you really need Dylan Carlson to step it up. 238, 19 homers, 79 ribbies. Reese McGuire's got to do something a little bit better than 232. I know as a catcher you're going to take that, but honestly, guys, I think the pitching is going to be key for this team, and I think that Bradley and Palka have to do what they did last year. They absolutely have to do what they did last year in order for this team to maintain. Now, one of the things with Michigan, why they're so good and why I think they're going to be good again, is Justice Sheffield is obviously a good pitcher, one of the best in the league. All things considered, there's only a couple really good pitchers like in the 90 plus. There's only a couple guys in there, but 79 overall, that's definitely going to play. But you got Keegan Aiken here, solid lefty. You got Ollie Finger, a custom player. Seth Johnson was decent last year, 4.5, was 5-15 though. So when I say decent, I mean the production as far as ERA and WHIP was okay. It was all right. It's good for a number 4 or 5 guy. But then you got this guy, Garrett Launchbaugh. It just seems like that one's a little out there, man. But he's got an A potential. This is a CPU-generated player. He's not a custom, but we'll see. We'll see what happens with Garrett Launchbaugh. It's very interesting. From Jamaica, 27 years old. We'll find out. And then comes in the question about Adrian Morejon, DL Hall, Matt Manning, and then Garrett Clevenger. I know Clevenger's going to be a reliever, but you got Matt Manning in the bullpen right now. DL Hall, he's a starter, and then Morejon's a starter as well. So they are loading up their long relief spots, maybe in case Seth Johnson and Launchbaugh don't do much, right? So they've got bullets in the chamber here. So I like Michigan yet again. I think they would try to make a push for the playoffs. I'm actually having them finish in 3rd place in the East. 84-78 would be their final record. Let's talk about the Chicago Breeze, the best team in the GGBL all season long. They never lost their first place standing in the AL Central, and they never lost their first place standing in the American League, or the All-Stars League, as we like to call it here in the GGBL. And they've actually made some improvements, believe it or not. I really like the addition of Rowdy Tellez. I think this is going to be a really sneaky type of move. I think Talese is going to have a really, really good year, a breakout year for him. You can see he was one of the players that came over from the MLB, so his ratings were really bad, but he came over from the MLB now, and that's why you see the plus 69, plus 46. So I tried to match up what Talese's numbers are as a default rating for him in his roster. But you can see, I mean, he's had some pretty spots, some spots starting here, 23, 35 games, 111 here in 2019 in real life, 21 homers. I think he can get back to those numbers here from 2019, but with a little bit better of a batting average for Chicago, because it is GGBL pitching, keep in mind. So watch out for Rowdy Talese. Lower the order hitter for this team. This is going to be a good offensive unit. Now with Xavier Edwards coming into the fold as well, he's going to be a pretty decent player for them. A lot of speed. He's going to get on base, steal a lot of bases. Danny Mendick, obviously, every time we see him in gameplay, he's always doing something. Ethan Letterman, again, I mean, what's there to say about Ethan Letterman? The guy's real good. 257, 22 homers, or 23 homers at 22 years old. 6 triples, 36 doubles. That's a lot of freaking doubles. Very good fielder as well. He's going to be all right. Even though he's playing DH, he'll be fine. There's not really anywhere to put him, though, because Mendick's just better fielding. Edwards is a little bit better fielding. But I do like this team. I like this offense. I think with Phillip Ervin added in as well, he's a good player. He'll get some time there in the outfield. Cespedes is getting old. He's probably going to need some time off. But you got Bubba Starling there with 98 arm. Nobody's running on him. So their defense is pretty solid. And their pitching with Garrett Cole is definitely what sets this team apart. Anytime Garrett Cole is going to pitch, you're likely to win the game. 201, microscopic whip at a .93. Jordan Yamamoto, got to get some more run support, got to get more wins under there, but 3.58, 135, solid arm. Mason Thompson, Connor Fisk, Asher Wojciechowski, and then you've got the bullpen here. Michael Jordan, yeah, Michael Jordan goes to Chicago. Yeah, another Michael Jordan, but he is a custom player. He'll be all right. Carl Edwards, this back end is really good. Roberto Osuna, Jace Fry, Carl Edwards Jr. Yeah, so the pitching is going to be good for Chicago. I think they're going to win the Central again, going 95 and 68. They'll be the best team in the American League. Little spoiler alert, because we'll cover the West here, but they'll be the best team in the American League. 95 wins, 68 losses, winning the Central for the second straight year. Next up is the Columbus Cardinals. Now, this is a team that I look at on paper. They look like they should be a lot better than they actually will be. They did go out and they acquired Wilmer Flores. They're getting progression out of Aristides Aquino. They're getting progression out of Bo Callaway. He's actually spent a lot of time at the AAA level last season, and you can see just the numbers of progression that he got. Plus 12 in power against lefties. Pretty decent fielder. 69 overall, B potential, switch hitter at first base. He's finally getting his shot here. I think this is going to be a little X factor type of play here for Columbus. They'll be better than they were last year, but I think they're still going to finish in third place in the AL Central, going 80 and 82. They'll be a competitive team. Frankie Lindor, everybody knows, great player, really good defender. I think Lindor is going to be just fine with this team, and their bench got a little bit better as well. But the pitching rotation, I'm a little bit shaky about the pitching right now. Diego Garcia, he's all right at a 78. Mark LaPierre was good as a custom pitcher. No velocity. I mean, look, he just tosses it soft up there, man. 59 knuckleball, 74, 78. Yeah, he's 5'6". I mean, what do you want from Mark LaPierre? He's 5'6". He's a small little guy. Matthew Liberator, I mean, decent. Matthew Thompson, all right. Tyson Miller, John Lester in the bullpen. I mean, this team it seems okay. Plus, they got Tommy Hunter, right? So they're all right. I think they'll be competitive, but I think they'll end up finishing third. 80 and 82 is where I have them. A team that is really young, the Indiana Rams, and I think ultimately that leads to a last place finish, 74 and 88. They've got some really good things working there for them. Nate Lowe, 19 homers, 258, 89 ribbies. Heston Kjerstad, 19 home runs, 50 ribbies. He was a June call-up, and he produced 19 home runs. He would have been on pace to hit 38 had he just played all season. Probably would have gotten that batting average up with more playing time as well. Miguel Andujar, DH at this point. He's got a good arm, but the fielding numbers are 36. He's going to be a DH. Nolan Jones is finally going to get the call. He didn't play last season at this level. With that A potential now, he's got some time to get in there. Got Adolis Garcia, 18 homers, 56. Dalton Varsho. Got to improve on the batting average at 25 years old, though, but he's a good defender out there in left. You got Chucky Robinson, was the starter last year. He's got 11 vision, so the catcher spot probably needs to get fixed. Maybe Michael Perez gets some more time. I mean, look at the defense for Michael Perez. I think he's got to be considered, but they did add some veteran presence there with Stephen Piscotty, so he's coming over from the major leagues, and I think he'll be a good addition for that outfield. You got Robert Poisson, another youthful player at shortstop. You got Jaron Kendall, another youthful player. So they're kind of scary in the fact that Indiana might be better than people think they actually are, because they've got a lot of potential on this team. Maybe next season, maybe year 3, maybe year 4, they'll take that leap. But right now, I got them 74 and 88. They'll have a little minor improvement from last season where they finished as one of the worst teams across the league. But yeah, they've got a lot of potential to be better. They've got Parker Bridwell here at 30 years old. You got Syndergaard, who's going to be really good again. You can see just how bad they were, right? 14 and 13 for Noah Syndergaard. No run support. Jeremiah Port, a prospect. Duke Grayson, prospect, custom player. And then Matthew Allen, who is real, is a top 50. And Bowden Francis, Cole Wilcox is 22. They're just a young team. They got Devin Williams. Chaz Rowe was a free agent acquisition. So I think Indiana will slightly improve. They didn't do enough, in my opinion, to totally get better, but they are moving in the right direction. When I look at Wisconsin, I see a team that's got a lot of good things going for them. They've got youth in the right spots with Josh Jung. They've got Kevin Kramer, Aiden Oliver, $20 custom player through Patreon. Matt Justice, another patron prospect. And then Joey Gallo, right? Joey freaking Gallo. A lot of power, man. A lot of power. So you got a lot of things going for him in this lineup. A lot of good things. But the conservative inside of me that wants to kind of pull back the reins a little bit and make sure that I'm not jumping the gun and crowning Wisconsin as a possible second place finish team in the Central, I'm going to say they're going to finish 4th. I'm going to say they're going to finish at 77-85, right behind Columbus. On paper, I like Wisconsin better than Columbus. I think that they have a lot of good things going for them in this lineup. But when I look at the pitching staff, I see a lot of things that could go wrong. I do. I just do. I see a lot of things that could go wrong. Tyler Mahle, is he an ace? Johnny Cueto, is he getting a little bit old? He's 36 now. He had a good year for Las Vegas. Nate Pearson is a youngster. He's got a lot of things to work on himself. He's a 74 A potential. Did not have a good year last year at 5.94. Chance Adams, same thing. Youngster. Harold Gonzalez, 26-year-old B potential player. The bullpen is one of the best in the game. One of the best in the GGBL. Matt Grace, Jeremy Jeffress, Jared Eichhoff, Sam Freeman, who was acquired through free agency, Zach Godley as a closer, Ian Kennedy. There's a lot of good names there, a lot of experienced names with Wisconsin to the pitching staff. The knee-jerk reaction is I think they might make a run at the playoffs, kind of like how they did last year. They were only a couple games out for the wild card spot. But I think just pulling it back a little bit and being cautious, I think they'll finish 4th. I think they'll finish under 500. I got them going 77 and 85. Last but not least, we got the Minnesota Jacks, the team that I think is going to finish in second place behind the Breeze in the AL Central. You got Joe Mauer, who's getting a little bit of a regression, I think. Yeah, he's 39, right? It's bound to happen. It's bound to happen. But he is going to lead off. He's going to lead off for the Jacks. You got Gigliotti, who's improving. A lot of speed. Good defense out there in center. Randy Arozarena is going to drive the offense. You got Solak. He's also obviously going to be a good player for them. And then Mike Price, custom prospect, plus Hannibal Lobo, custom prospect. I think these two guys is what really going to be the X factor for this season for the Jacks. What's really going to help this offense behind Solak and Arozarena. So between Price and Lobo, they got to really get it done here for the Jacks, and I think this is what's really going to help this offense is this 3, 4, 5, 6 part of the order. Marco Luciano. This was a player that was acquired from the Carolina Blue Sox in the Jeff Samardzija trade. So Marco Luciano, a potential player. He's 19. You see the contact numbers, you see the power, see the defense. He's going to have a good season, in my opinion. He had a good season. 254, 2 homers, 16 ribbies across 2 teams. Actually, 47 games played for only Minnesota. It would say TOT for total if he played for 2 different teams. So when he did get traded, he immediately stepped in and played, had 9 doubles. So he's probably going to take that next step here for this team, and I really like what I'm looking at here for Minnesota. But I think when you compare it to Chicago, I think the Jacks just have a little bit less, and they'll finish in second place. 88 and 74 is my prediction for them. Their pitching staff is what I think is going to hold them back with competing with Chicago. You got Odorizzi here, Castellani, Dylan Covey, Dylan Covey, Spencer Howard, Ethan Hankins, who was acquired through trade, I believe, as well, Chris Clark, Luis Avilan, Taylor Hearn, Keone Kela, they acquired in free agency as well, player that came over from the MLB, Tyrone Marcus, top 50 closing pitcher, and then Sam Gaviglio. So the bullpen's actually pretty good, but it's the starters I'm a little worried about. So we'll see what happens, but I think this team will finish in second. I like them over any of the other teams that I saw. Wisconsin probably could challenge Columbus for that 3rd place spot, but I think Minnesota is ending up going to get that 2nd spot. Santa Fe Spirit, officially the worst team in the GGBL for year number 1. And when I look at this lineup, it is much improved, believe it or not. Now, they lost Justin Bohr. They lost Chris Davis. But I actually like what they're doing here. I like what they're doing here. You got Keon Broxton at the top of the order, who hit 230 last year, 17 homers for a guy that I don't think ever hit 17 homers in his career. Corbin Carroll, 318, a potential, another good outfielder. You got Wilson Contreras still here. Angelo Ruth, a custom prospect. I believe Angelo Ruth was a player that was a part of a contest winner, so he's a 70 B potential. And got good contact numbers, good fielding, so he's going to be all right. You got Brent Rooker, you got Patrick Wisdom, Vargas, Bryson Stott, who I'm high on, and then Tyler Nevin. James Chris over here, custom player as well. No power for Justin Chris. He's just more of a contact, speed, fielding type of player. But I think Santa Fe is going to improve. I think they'll be all right. I think that they're going to finish actually 4th place in the AL West, basically because of their pitching. Their offense was, I think they improved offensively, but I think their pitching staff will also improve because they added so many bullpen arms through free agency. They obviously saw that was a problem last year, and now you got so much young pitching. You got Sixto Sanchez, a potential, 79, 23 years old. Sixto was, at the beginning of the year, in year number 1, if you remember, he was lights out. He was absolutely lights out. He was leading the GGBL in ERA and in WHIP for a long, long time. Jimmy Polanski was kind of doing the same thing. So he's a crafty little lefty, custom player. Shane Baz, 9-9, 4.66. He's got to improve. Quinn Priester, 4.20, 1.55, and then Tommy Wilson. So these guys, very young pitching staff, extremely young. But that could also mean it's very dangerous as well for other teams. So once these guys start hitting their stride, watch out. Plus, you got Justin Dillon, you got Peter Fairbanks, Ponce de Leon, Rusin, Edwin Diaz, Tyler Clippard. Yeah, this is one of the best improvements from a team that we've seen in the offseason. I think Santa Fe will finish in 4th place in the AL West, and they'll improve to a point they're actually going to sniff 500 in my prediction. They'll come in 4th, 80 and 82 is my final prediction. All right, next up in the AL West, we've got the Oklahoma Hawks. This is a team that under Joe Madden, even though he wasn't supposed to be in here, but under Joe Madden, they kind of, dare I say it, they kind of underperformed a little bit, in my opinion. Whenever you got a guy like Mookie Betts, and you got some good pitching, you got to make the playoffs. You have to. It's the GGBL. Mookie Betts should have put up Bryce Harper type of numbers, in my opinion. And he did with home runs and RBI totals, but the batting average of 268. As the number 3 hole hitter, you got to do a little bit better here against GGBL pitching. You just have to. And I think Oklahoma will have a similarly identical season this year as they did in year 1. I think they're going to go 84-78. I just look at this lineup and I don't see a whole lot of change other than this guy, Han Berger. Look how big this guy is, right? He's 240, 5'10", B potential, can play first base, and somehow he's got 74 speed, but he is a custom player, so you got to honor it. He's a contest winner player. I think they've got some things to be excited about, especially with Spencer Torkelson, who had 25 homers in his rookie season. You got Matt Davidson, who drove in 105 runs as your DH. You know, they got some things that'll work, but not a ton of change for this lineup here. And when we look at the pitching staff, not a lot of change here either. Now, they did get Ryan Barucki. They got Jackson Reese. They got Corey Knebel, Spencer Patton. Bullpen seems all right. Pitching staff seems good on paper. It's just one of those things. I feel like the Oklahoma Hawks are just kind of that team that gets inside their own heads, and then they can't, for whatever reason, get past themselves. I think they're their own worst enemy, pretty much. I think the game that we watched on live stream against Phoenix, where they had the ground ball, you got to go home, extra innings game that went forever, I think they hold themselves back. Because I look at this team on paper and I think, like, man, oh man, you got Mackenzie Gore, Luke Weaver, Corbin Martin, Reagan Landish. You got all the potential in the world with the top 4, and then you added Mike Montgomery to the mix. You should be better than what you're producing at. So we'll see. They're kind of like a wild card team this season. I still got them going in 3rd place in the AL West simply because they're kind of acting like a sort of wild card type of team. You don't know what you're going to get. They're kind of head cases at this point. Now, a team that I actually really like here in this AL West, the Las Vegas Nuggets. Why do I like the Nuggets so much? Not because their names are the Nuggets and they're one of my favorite teams that I created here for this league. That's got nothing to do with it. I just like what they did. I really like what they did. Malik Smith at 264. How many stolen bases did he have last year? 26. That's going to play at the top of the order. They acquired a guy by the name of Nelson De La Cruz, now a top 50 player at a 75 A potential. Another $20 patron prospect here. Obviously, when you have Freddie Freeman driving in 106 runs, giving you 30-plus home runs, you're gonna be relevant. Yasiel Puig almost got that 30 home run mark and almost hit the 100 RBI mark. Plus, when you add Colin Moran through free agency, you add Andrew Benintendi through free agency. You've still got defensive wizard Orlando Arcia here. Chad De La Guerra for St. Louis Maroons last season hit 15 homers. He was kind of a guy that found his way out because of the batting average. But if he's going to hit you on all those home runs at the lower of the order for this Nuggets team, I think they got something going for him here. This team does. We'll take a look at their pitching staff, but Rod Krenzel kind of getting the shaft here just a little bit. Had 11 stolen bases, 250 in his rookie year, but they added some good outfielders like Benintendi. Still got Puig. I think he just lost his spot here. But guys, Scott Schebler, look what he's doing off the bench. 299, 25 homers. I think this team is strong. And I think a lot of people might be sleeping on the Nuggets. Plus, they got this catcher here. It might be Kai or Kaio or Chow. You're going to have to correct me. If you're still watching, please correct me. Souza Barbosa, catcher. Look at the power numbers, 66, 62, 66 arm. He's not as good defensively as Rafael Marchand, but he's going to get time. Chow is going to get time. And I think they're going to be a really, really scary team offensively. But looking at the pitching staff for Las Vegas, this is kind of what holds me back just a little bit with taking them to actually win the division. They're going to tie. And I'm going to tell you who they're going to tie against here in just a moment. But when we look at the pitching staff, Baria, Dagies finally getting a shot here. Andrew Wantz, got to be a little bit better. Marquez, all the potential in the world. A potential, lefty, 6'4", 21 years old. He's got the makings of a stud. John Duplantier. Bullpen seems all right. CPU-generated player here last year's draft. Tom Key, 18-year-old Taiwanese pitcher. A potential. Sleegers at the closing spot. I could totally be wrong about the Las Vegas Nuggets. The pitching might actually be pretty good, right? It's not out of the question, but it could also not be very good. It could also very easily not be very good. When I look at the control ratings, these guys are in the 50s, right? Good pitchers usually in the 60s. Elite level pitchers are in the 70s. Sometimes Reagan Landish, 61, was all right. Velocity at 99, that always helps. Luke Weaver had a good year at 63. So I look at the control ratings for these guys and the walks per nine. Walks per nine, look at Luke Weaver, 74. Just by comparison, then Reagan Landish had a 60. Walks per nine. Out of Dagies, Jamie Barria, the back end, the 3-4-5, doesn't have a whole lot to offer. So we'll see what happens, but I think Las Vegas will finish in second place. 91-71 is your record for Las Vegas, and they will finish in second to the AL West champions, the Seattle Emeralds. I love the Seattle Emeralds this season. Now, I say that, and I know what I said last year about Seattle as being one of the best teams on paper. I still believe that they are one of the better teams in the GGBL. Look at this lineup, right? Julio Urias, 252, 107, 13-9 on a team that couldn't play any defense in the outfield in gameplay. You got James Monroe. He's going to take the next step at 22 years old, A potential. William Kuo, player that they drafted, 21-year-old South Korean pitcher, C potential. Look at the pitch mix. 4-seam curve, sinker change, 2-seam. He can move it around the zone. He's 21. He's going to progress at a slower rate than everybody else, but you also got Nolan Mitchell, custom prospect. Derek Rodriguez at the number 5. Kraus, Bettinger, Paulino, AJ Cole, Walden, Morin, Crochet. Pitching staff is good, man. It's actually pretty scary. It's actually pretty scary if you think about it. The lineup got so much better over the course of a second half trade deadline by acquiring Jed Jerko, the offseason through free agency, and drafting a guy like Jumbo Candyman. Look at this abomination. Oh my god. Now, normally, you guys know me as a creator, I'm all about the realism side of things. But you know what? Whenever you win a custom prospect, I gotta honor your wishes here. I have to. And Jumbo Candyman from Jamaica, 6'10" outfielder who can also play third base. His primary position is third base. He's 70 overall, B potential. At the DH, I mean, he's going to drive in a bunch of runs for this team. At number 5, you've got Jed Jerko being acquired from Colorado for Harold Ramirez, if you guys remember that trade. They also got Jose Peraza, good defensive outfielder, right? Used to be an infielder for the Cincinnati Reds for a long time. And then Ian Happ was also acquired. But right now he's playing center field over Jason Dominguez because he hits a lot better, right? Look at the power numbers against righties. He's got to play. So I think with the way that the lineup is structured, yeah, it's been well documented that this team's defense in the outfield has not been very good. But I think they'd rather they've actually got outfielders now that can play, right? They got outfielders now that have a little bit of offense tied to them, right? So Ian Happ is going to get a shot. He's going to play. Rushman's going to take a next step. Again, you got Kenneth Alexander Jr., 31 bombs at 19 years old last season with the A potential. Guys, I don't know what else there is to say about Seattle. I think they're going to win the division. I think they'll go 91-71. I think they'll tie with Las Vegas, and in the game 163, they'll beat them to crown themselves as AL West champs. Now, I have them going 91-71 as the worst playoff team in the AL. Remember, I had Washington at 93 wins, Chicago at 95 wins, because I do think that the West is very competitive. I think the Central is a little less competitive. That's why Chicago has so many more wins. And I think Washington is just a better team on paper than Seattle is. But I do believe that Seattle's going to have some growing pains because they are so young. There's going to be games and there's going to be times in gameplay that you're wondering and trying to figure out, why does this team keep losing? I don't understand. And then they'll get on runs, they'll get on hot streaks, and you'll be like, oh my God, here they come. They're here, they've arrived. I think they're very young, but they're going to find a way to do it. 91-71 is your final record for Seattle. They will make the playoffs in year number 2. All right, last but not least, we've got the Phoenix Firebirds, a team that made the playoffs last season. And I believe they made the playoffs because Jesse Winker was real good, right? 320, 37 bombs, 88 ribbies. But look at what this team lost. Think about what this team lost through the offseason. They lost Charlie Culberson, who we'll see in just a moment, at second base, hit a lot of homers for him. Good defensive second baseman, too. They lost Robinson Chirinos, who hit a bunch of home runs. And you look at what they're replacing that with here in this lineup. They're replacing it with Andy Burns at 14-61 with 261. They're replacing Chirinos with Israel Pineda and Rene Rivera. That's not going to cut it, in my opinion. So this team, offensively, plus this guy, Pedro Alvarez, a deep potential player, starting for them at shortstop. Three guys on the bench. Phoenix front office staff is looking at this team and thinking, we're probably not going to compete with a lot of teams offensively. We got to compete through pitching. And they did that by acquiring Elior Letterman from the GGBL draft. This is another $20 patron here, 75-8 potential player. Also acquired Rick Porcello at the deadline last season from New Orleans. And then he got Rico Ramos Jr., who was, keep in mind, a number 2 starting pitcher for this team behind Max Fried, but now jumps down to the 4 slot. Zach Logue, Rick Porcello, Ramos Jr., Porcello, Letterman, Fried. It's one of the better staffs in the GGBL, in my opinion. It's going to play throughout a series. They're going to be a tough team, but I think ultimately, in those low-scoring games, when you need a big hit, I don't know who's going to come up for Phoenix and get that done. I don't know who's going to deliver the big hit for this team. So ultimately, I believe that this team, Phoenix Firebirds, will take a big step backward from year number 1 standards. They'll go 77-85. They'll miss the playoffs by going in last place in the AL West. Again, this offense, I just don't know who's going to step up and get it done for them when it matters the most. Their pitching will be good. Make no bones about it. Their pitching will be good. The offense, not so much. All right, let's keep this train moving here. We got the NL East. We got the Central and then the West as followed. And then taking a look at the Atlanta Sting. Team that was kind of mediocre last season. I still feel like they're going to be fairly mediocre. Tim LeCastro leading them off there at 298. A lot of stolen bases for Tim LeCastro. 51 to be exact last season. That's obviously going to play for them. Nick Markakis not going away. Connor Falefa up to an 80 overall. Derek Dietrich was a good ad for them. Give him some pop in the middle of the order. But outside of that, I don't feel like they have enough there at the bottom of the order. I think this offense will struggle again this season. And then taking a look at their pitching staff, I don't know if I like it or not. I mean, that's a big drop-off. You go from Dustin May at 86 to Aiden Myhill, a custom prospect pitcher at 70 overall, Simeon Woods Richardson, Juan Duran, Thad Ward. I just don't feel like they did enough in the offseason. Now, they did add Danny Salazar and Sean Newcomb, but again, I just don't know if they have enough for what they need to compete in this NL East with the Miami Moonshots, the Good Boys, and the Blue Sox. I think they're going to get beat up on. I think they're going to go below 500, 79-83. I think they'll be a decent team in gameplay and in simulation, but it's just not quite enough to get them over the top. For the Miami Moonshots, looking at this lineup, they've got a very professional style of lineup. I mean, take a look at this, right? Xavier Hawkins, a 70 overall B potential player, a $10 patron prospect. Head right into the lineup there. Zhu Wei Lin, going to get the call here at second base this season. He's going to probably split some time with Wilfredo Tovar. Whenever you have Cody Bellinger, that's going to be a huge get for you offensively. 46 dingers, 104. You got Javon Brown as a custom player. Marquena was a good addition. Julio Rodriguez, 15 homers in a rookie season. This is the dollar menu of what Carolina has in their offense. Okay, that's basically what I'm trying to say. No disrespect to Miami. They're going to be a good team. I got them going 85-77 in third place in the NL East. We'll talk about the rest of the teams here, but I think they missed the playoffs by a couple games, and we'll talk about the playoffs and who I think is going to make it and everything, unless you guys are keeping track. But I think that they're going to be a very good team. They're gonna make a push for the playoffs, so don't count them out. But I think they're going to miss, mostly due to just that lower half of the order. Very professional lineup, though, all things considered. Now, their pitching staff is the strength of this team. You got Keuchel returning. You got Josh Lindblom, who was acquired from the Portland Pioneers at the deadline last season. Josh James will be solid here. He's got some improvement. Didn't mean to do that. Let's go back to Josh James. Had some improvement. Look at the K per 9, plus 10 with the A potential. RJ Dixon was one of the best rookies, best June call-ups you could ever ask for at a 2.89, 1.25. He won 10 games as a rookie at 23 years old. 97 fastball, 94 two-seamer, curve, slide, move it around. It's good pitching staff. One of the best in the league, mind you. Just how it's structured here. Again, no disrespect to Miami. They're going to be a good team. I think they'll just miss the playoffs, though. Oh, yeah, baby. The Richmond Good Boys. What do we got going on with Richmond? Well, we got some good things going on with Richmond. Matt Olson came in second place for the NL MVP last year, and he lost it to Bryce Harper. Of course, go figure, right? Bryce Harper's just a madman in this series. But we had some interesting off-season moves. We got a little lucky, I think. Free agency was not good. Free agency was not good for us. Who did we acquire? We acquired Jason Kipnis and Chasen Shreve through free agency. That's not something I like. But when you look at Darius Wilson progressing, he's a really good fielder at shortstop. You got Yaro Munoz. We acquired in a trade with Tyler Freeman. We sent him over to Indiana. We got Munoz from Indiana. He's going to be a DH for us for a little while here against righties. Got a decent bench with Jake Lamb, who we signed in the offseason. Connor Wong, we're bringing up at catcher. You got Bobby Witt Jr. at the backup spot. Urias right there. It's a good lineup. Kyle Lewis, Olsen. You've also got these two players here, Michael Ruth and Josho Tora. I got some storylines for you guys later on about Josho Tora. Thank you to Portugal. This was his prospect. And I just think it's really funny how we were on the verge of selecting someone else through the wheel spin, but we happened to land on Josho Tora. That's amazing to me. It's amazing to me. But, is he the best prospect across the board? No, not really. Even though he's a 75A, he's not the best out there. There's other good ones out there that I think other teams got the better straw that they drew. But Josho Tora is going to be good for us specifically because even though he's a top 50 prospect, he's going to be good for us because we lost some outfield. We lost some outfield depth last season with Kana going bye-bye. You had Johan Niesis, who, didn't live up to expectations here out in right field. 17 homers, 67. I'll take the power numbers. I'll take the ribbies, but the batting average was not good. So we're kind of lucky that we also got Michael Ruth here as well, who is apparently a long-distant relative of Babe Ruth. So I got to throw that out there. And, at 220, 6'3", he might be a really good player for us. The durability, very good athlete, decently attributed there for defense. But as far as offense goes, he's going to be a solid player for us. He's a top 50. David Wright's getting a little older, so we got to figure out what we're going to do at third base in the future. But I think compared to Miami, I think Richmond's going to be a little bit better than Miami, the Moonshots. And looking at our pitching staff, I think our pitching staff's a little worse than theirs is. I think Miami has a better pitching staff, but I ultimately think just by looking at the statistics here, we've got good defense behind these guys. We got good offense behind these guys. We won a lot of games with this pitching staff. Look at this. 16-8 Clark Schmidt, 14-5 Justin Steele. Forrest Whitley, want more from Forrest Whitley, man. It's got to be better. But that Clark Schmidt, and Justin Steele output was really good. Glenn Sparkman was 10 and 9. Daniel Lynch got to be better. Bullpen's really good in my opinion. You got PSVU here, 375-127, Neo Zamora at the back end, plus Chase and Shreve. I don't think Shreve is going to be our closer. I think it's going to be Neo Zamora. Two custom prospects there is PSVU and Zamora. So again, if you can have as good an offense as we have, and then shorten these games up to basically 7 innings, 7-inning games, 6-inning games even, I think we're going to be a deadly team again. I think we're going to go ultimately 90-72 in second place in the NL East. I think there are still some question marks about the pitching staff. I think there's question marks about the 2 rookies here and the bottom of this order with Jason Kipnis and David Wright, the 2 old hats of this group. The top 4 I like. The middle of the order here, 5 and 6, I think, I'm hoping is going to be good. There's still a lot left to be determined about these 2 guys, these 2 rookies. Can they come through in the pressure? Now, looking at Philadelphia, this is a team that I think is going to be in last place again at 71 and 91. They'll be in last place in the NL East. Again, you got Gordon Rosens, who was acquired from Dallas. And think about this. Gordon Rosens was acquired from Dallas in the Kyle Seager trade to send Seager to Dallas. Philadelphia gets Kyle Seager back through a wheel spin through free agency. So not only did Philadelphia win the trade, they destroyed Dallas in the trade because Dallas didn't even make the playoffs. They missed it by 1 game. Think about that. They get Gordon Rosens, they get Kyle Seager on the same team. It's just a match made in heaven here. I think this offense for Philadelphia will actually be pretty good. You got Dahl, you got Luis Aviles Jr., Rosens at the top of the order, Danny Santana they acquired through free agency, Ison Diaz, Greg Bird, Brett Phillips, Chadwick Tromp. On paper, it doesn't look like they got a lot of that circle that's going on here, right? It's pretty much Seager and Dahl as your two big hitters here. But again, all things considered, it is GGBL, right? So you got to consider that. It's all relative. Plus, they got some youngsters at that bench spot. Manuel Linares, custom player. Zeal Jackson, custom player. Offensively, I mean, 291 and 55 at-bats with those numbers. It's like, whoa, man, holy shit. He's not going to be too bad. The defense and the speed is the name of his game, though. Plus, you got Christian Robinson. You know, he's going to be solid as well for Philadelphia. I think the strength here will be the middle of the order for them. The top part of the lineup, bottom part of the lineup needs a little bit of work. Their pitching staff, I think, probably needs a little bit of work. They had kind of tried to address that with getting Tyler Anderson from the major leagues, so he's coming over. You got Folty coming back, Grayson Rodriguez, Tanner Huck, Tyson Ross. It needs some work still, but I think they're going in the right direction here. Emmanuel Clase, Oliver Drake. I think Clase needs to be the closer here. Just a little update, but I like where they're headed. I don't think Philly's going to compete this season, but they are moving in the right direction. I have them going 71 and 91 to finish last in the NL East. Let's take a look at those Carolina Blue Sox, the GGBL champions. I think they're going to go back. I'm going to let you guys know right off the get-go. I think this team is going back to the GGBL championship. Now, they could run into LA, the Los Angeles Knights, so we're going to talk about them in just a few moments. We're going to preview that team. It's a really stacked team, but I think it's hard to beat the champions. They got that chip on their shoulder. They want to defend it. And I think when you've now acquired Yermin Mercedes through free agency, you're adding more firepower to the offense that was already destroying teams in year number 1. I think this team is just going to go off again. They got Seiko, who's improving, custom player, shortstop, 25 home runs last year, crazy. 27 from Josh Akemi. These guys are hitting lower in the order, hitting almost 30 home runs, right? Jorge Alfaro is going to be the catcher. Mercedes will be the DH. Soto's a beast, obviously. Luis Arias and Greg Allen, probably the best 1-2 punch in the GGBL at the top of the order. Cody Hosey almost hit 20 home runs at the bottom of the order. Pedro Leon, a guy that I was really low on, was constantly attacking him, but he's got 17 and 72. This team is going to produce at a high level again, and not only the starters get better. The starting lineup get better. The bench got better. Yolmer Sanchez and Tim Beckham, plus Seth Mahias-Breen finding his way. It's going to be a tough Carolina team yet again. I think they're going to head right back to the finals. You got Hudson, Reed Foley, Samardzija, Waddell, Leak. Same thing. Nothing changed here for the pitching staff. I think it's still going to be a very good team. And nothing changed here either with the bullpen. Maybe, I think they acquired Tim Collins from Columbus, I think. Yeah. So he did pitch for Columbus with a 3.86. So I think this team is, they're going to win the division. They're going to win the NL East. They're going to be the second best team in the National League, or the Naturals League. They're going to be the second best team to win 96 games, 96 and 66 will be their record. That's my prediction. And we'll find out who they're going to lose that record to, the number one spot. But I think they'll head right back to the finals. They're my pick to head right back to the finals, representing the Naturals League. A team that probably won the offseason, in my opinion, the Dallas Hatters. Now, you could argue that the LA Knights won the offseason as well, but I think this team had a really good one. They drafted a guy, Joe Beck. Look at his numbers there. Custom player. Very good player. They got Jackie Bradley Jr. He's a very good player. Brandon Nimmo coming on over. I think this team is going to surprise some people. Now, St. Louis won the hearts of a lot of people in gameplay and through highlights. St. Louis, they loved seeing that little miracle run that they had, but I think it was a one-year wonder for St. Louis. I think that Dallas made the necessary improvements to make sure that kind of thing doesn't happen again. I think between Nimmo leading them off, you got Derek Caro at third, custom player. Madrigal's solid. Look at the vision. Oh, shoot. Look at the vision here. Nick Madrigal at 299, 5 homers, 60 ribbies. Tristan Casas had over 101 ribbies. That's crazy for a guy like that. Look at the numbers there. Just absolute progression there. He's going to be a beast for this team in the middle of the order. Jared Kelenic, Owen Miller, good offensive player. Donnie Walton, Leody Taveras, good defensive outfielder. You add a guy like Joe Beck, Victor Caratini. Yeah, I think Dallas is definitely going to take that next step. You've got DeGrom. Of course, anytime you have DeGrom at 99, that's a really big get. You got Sam Williams here, it looks like. Yep. Justin Tapa, James Karinchak, Austin Pruitt, Santos, Jensen, Gerald Cotton, Melton, the custom pitcher. They're kind of, I mean, they're wowing me right now. Dallas is wowing me. I think they're going to go in first place. They're going to be 90 and 72 is your final record. They will win the NL Central. And jump in here to Nashville. Take a look here at Nashville. I don't think that this team made enough improvements. Yeah, you got JT Riddle, you got Ketel Marte coming from the major leagues. You're calling up Delvin Perez. You got a guy with Buddy Kidd as a custom player. Look at the power numbers and the speed. He's gonna be all right. Top 50 player. Again, they're one of those teams that's moving in the right direction. Demetrius Edwards-George was a very, very good player for them. Look at the progression numbers there across the board. 25 stolen bases. Hit 269. Think about that. Hit 269 despite the contact and power numbers. Good leadoff guy. I just don't think that the lineup is good enough. I don't think it's good enough. They got Logan Morrison, Franklin Labor, who actually did decent. 10 home runs, 227. I think they're moving in the right direction. Their pitching staff, they got Robbie Ray in the mix here. They got Brady Singer, Peralta. This is obviously their strength is pitching. I think they can get on some runs in the season, but I think that ultimately they're going to finish in last place again at 72 in 90. And they will give a lot of the top teams in the Central some problems, but I think they're going to still finish in last. A team that I feel like didn't do enough, a team that I felt like was in the middle of the road that really needed to do something extra to push them over the top was Houston. And looking at this lineup, looking at the rotation, you got Louis Perdomo, Turnbull, Hyunjin Yang, acquired from Wisconsin last season at the deadline, Lewis Thorpe, Seth Corey. I feel like you could have definitely needed another pitcher, and I just don't feel like they didn't do it. They didn't do enough, in my opinion. And taking a look at this lineup, yeah, they acquired Kevin Kiermaier. That's a good addition for the defensive side of things. But batting number 2, who knows? Who knows, right? I've seen guys worse rated offensively that did really well at the GGBL level, who had a career renaissance type of year, man. But it's Kevin Kiermaier. And I hope that he does well, because this is a good addition for Houston defensively. I want to see what he's going to do offensively. Because you got Denzel Good here. You got Kiermaier, Donaldson, Yastrzemski, Polanco. I think this top 5 is really good for Houston. The only problem is you need Kevin Kiermaier to kind of supplement everything else. Donaldson, Yastrzemski, Polanco will be fine. Good is going to be a little question mark here. Hit .213 last year. Kiermaier, you don't really know what you're going to get quite yet out of there. So that's really going to limit the potential of your 3, 4, 5 if these two guys can't do anything at the top. But they did go out and they did acquire Robinson Chirinos, which is a good addition. 20 homers, 55 ribbies. They lost Adriuba Cabrera, so that kind of was a big blow for them. But they did get a guy, Chase Jackson, to custom prospect as well. So again, they're doing some solid things, but I have my doubts about Houston. I have this team going in 3rd place, 81 and 81, split the difference right down the middle, a 500, literally a 500 baseball club. I look at the lineup. Some parts I like it, some parts I don't. The whole team as a whole, the pitching staff, just 50-50. So split it right down the middle, 81 and 81. That's your final record here for Houston. Next up in the Central, we've got the New Orleans Swing. So what's kind of funny here is we lost Trevor Bauer, but we got Zach Wheeler. Kind of interesting there. So they replaced a 90-plus overall pitcher with a 90-plus overall pitcher. So it evened out, right? So they get Zach Wheeler from the major leagues. They had a definite need there after the community. You guys decided to vote Trevor Bauer out of the league based on his extracurricular activities, and he's kind of some legal trouble. But Asa Lacy should take the next step, in my opinion. He pitches well in our Royals franchise. Lefty, A, potential 6'5", should be all right. Jose Suarez, Blake Walston, Jacob Nix. It's not the worst staff in the world, plus the bullpen, all things considered. But, it's not the best, right? It's not the worst, it's not the best. I think the offense is really what's going to have to drive this team. I don't think the pitching staff is going to necessarily get it done. I think offensively they are a very good team. Ryan Mountcastle, he's great, right? At the leadoff spot too, that's great. I would end up thinking about possibly switching these guys, Senzel and Mountcastle. LaStella batting 3rd is interesting to me, but with 86 contact and 96 vision, coming from the major leagues, he might do some things. He might do some good things for this team. But Luigi Mazza, this is a player, a custom player, 75A, $20 patron. From Italy, 5'9". He's kind of like a little bit of Jose Altuve. I'm going to say, I don't like Jose Altuve. He's a cheater. But let's face it, he's kind of like Jose Altuve. Look at the contact, look at the power, right? He's a young Jose Altuve. He's 21, 5'9". I think Luigi Mazza is going to be a good player for this squad. Plus, you got Ryan O'Hearn, 18 homers, 283. So, yeah, I actually like New Orleans here. I think they're going to finish 4th place, 75 and 87. I just think that lower the order with Encarnacion, you got Bouchard here, Garrett Stubbs, 66, 68, Jezmel Valentine at 73. I like that top 5, but the bottom 4, I'm not necessarily too high on. They did acquire Delano DeShields Jr. as a bench guy. The pitching staff, though, leaves a lot left to be desired there. Obviously, you love Zach Wheeler, but everything else kind of up in the air. I still think that there's a reason why that New Orleans was a bad team last year. Not too much has totally changed for this team other than Mazza and LaStella. So both these two guys were additions in the offseason. Team has showed some progression, so I'm giving them a little bit of a bump here. 75 and 87, 4th place in the Central, right ahead of the Heat and right behind the Copperheads in the Central. All right, last but not least, this leaves the 2nd place team, the St. Louis Maroons. They're going to win 83 games and have 79 losses total. I think when I look at St. Louis, I don't see an overpowering type of club, right? I literally see what happened last year. A miracle team, a miracle run from a team that should probably not have gone as far as they did. I look at this team and I like some of the pieces like Darnell Sweeney. It's like every time that he gets into the gameplay, he makes some miraculous play. CJ Abrams with that A potential, 20 years old, he's hoping to take the next step. But Joey Wendell, good player. Andrew Donovan, 32 homers as a rookie at 22. He's now 23. Kyle Tucker, a good player. G-Man Choi, they added from the major leagues. Jarren Duran, I like Jarren Duran. Chase Strumpf, Francisco Alvarez. Custom player Jarrett Duke was a contest winner, I believe. KJ Harrison, good first baseman prospect, top 50. I mean, they got good players. When I look at their team, they're definitely a team that's going to be pushing for a playoff spot. I just don't think they're going to do it this season. I think they're going to go 83-79 as a second place roster, and that's even more solidified when looking at the pitching staff. You got Shane Bieber here. You got Israel Reyes, who's a 70 overall B potential, a CPU generated player, not a custom player. Colin Wiles, Humberto Mejia, Darren McCacken, Logan Gilbert, Nick Allgaier. We're actually moving to the bullpen. So did he get some regression here? He did. He actually had a really good season in the postseason, but things change. Things change. So Gilbert's going to be in the bullpen to start. Allgaier's going to be in the bullpen to start. You got Grant Gavin, who gave up a ton of runs in the postseason. I wasn't impressed with that. But that back end, that 1-2-3 here with Leon Hicks was a free agent acquisition coming from the major leagues to the GGBL. And then Jonathan Hernandez. I still think St. Louis is a solid team. I just don't think they're a playoff team this season. They'll finish in second place, 83-79. All right, so I'm not going to sugarcoat this one with the NL West. The Portland Pioneers they're bad. Okay, they're bad. They're not good. I look at this lineup and I see some good things like Marte, Anthony Rizzo, Travis Jankowski had a pretty solid year last year, 48 stolen bases. That's a lot. It's a career high, I believe, for Jankowski. Yes, sir. And 266. That's also a career high. It's going to be a good little number 2 hitter for this team. Ricky Ribbett, a custom player. Yeah, you heard that right. Ricky Ribbett. Yep, he's going to be a rookie this season. He's going to be the starting catcher. He's taking over for Jake Rogers. Now, if you look at the defense and the offensive side of things, the vision, the power numbers, the contact, I think they're making the right call there by giving Ricky the start. But everything else, like Dom T. Williams, he had a pretty good solid season, right? 20-72. Nick Williams, Sheldon Noose, Ryan Goins, Greg Jones. That's just not. I don't like that. I don't like those numbers. I don't like the overall ratings. I don't like the contact numbers for these guys. I don't like what's going on there at the bottom of the order. I think Portland is going to be in last place again. I just don't see enough change for this team. I don't see enough improvement for this team. Now, they did go out and they did acquire Ross Stripling, but they're paying him a boatload of money for a long-term deal. He's 32 years old, 12.3 for 5 seasons. That's a lot. He's going to be 37 by the time that contract is up. But when I look at this bullpen, I look at the pitching staff, the overall numbers are good for this team, right? They would technically be one of the better ones in the GGBL, but they just don't produce. The only real guy that produces here in this pitching staff is Ross Stripling. So I think in a very, very competitive NL West, I have Portland actually being the worst team in the GGBL because they've got to go up against LA, Colorado, San Francisco, a much improved San Diego team, the Blue Sox at some points, the Good Boys at some points. I think Portland is just going to get beat up. They're going to win 68 games and lose 94, which would be the worst team in the GGBL. They'll be the worst team ever in the GGBL. Team that I really liked going into year number 1 was the Colorado Coyotes. Now, some things happened with this team. They had to run into LA a lot. They had to run into San Francisco a lot. And they were forced to make some tough decisions. They're forced to make some tough decisions at the deadline. Are you going to quit or are you going to keep going? Ultimately, they decided to keep going, and they wanted some outfield help, so they acquired Harold Ramirez by trading away Jed Jerko to Seattle. So I think the trade helped them for their push. I don't know what it's going to do for this season. Because we look at Harold Ramirez now, he doesn't really have an outfield home. You've got Will Myers, you've got Eddie Rosario now, you got Brennan Davis. I think the Coyotes have improved in the outfield with Brennan Davis coming on over here, getting the call up now for them. I think he's going to be a good player for these guys. I think Colorado getting Trevor Story was huge. Now, what about that storyline? Isn't that amazing? So Trevor Story in real life might have played his last game in Colorado, right? Trevor Story coming from the major leagues to the GGBL. You can see the improvements there, plus 80, plus 60, so you get the idea. But he goes to Colorado by wheel spin. This wasn't just done by me. It was all randomized. You guys saw it live. Trevor Story heads back to Colorado, but in a GGBL uniform. So he's still loyal to the state. It's hilarious to me. But looking at this lineup, you've got Story playing second, Anderson playing short. I don't know what the right call is here. Story's a little bit better, it looks like, defensively. So maybe Story plays short, Tim Anderson plays second. It could happen, but you're kind of interchangeable there. But if you see this top six, it's so deep, this Coyotes offense. And I think that's a perfect way to form your team. It's Colorado. You got to have a really good offense. And I think they do. They got Eddie Rosario in the offseason by wheel spin. Huge addition for them. 75 overall player. Good defensive outfielder as well. He's going to make plays out there. Will Myers, solid defensively, more of a hitter. Brennan Davis, good defensively as well. Percy Burnside had a good year last year. 8 homers, 30 ribbies. Mikey White maintains his spot at third base. They've also got Josh Adams, a third baseman, who could possibly take over for Mikey White. He's a custom prospect. This team's real good. I like me some Colorado Coyotes. I think they're going to finish 88 and 74. I think they'll make the playoffs. They won't win the division, though, because that's got to go to LA, pending any sort of huge injury. But I think Colorado makes the playoffs this season again, just like they did last year as a wild card team. And they'll probably have to face Richmond for the wild card again. So we'll have a rematch here, Richmond and Colorado for the wild card. The pitching staff, though, they need to make a move, in my opinion. They need to make a move. They just don't have enough, in my opinion. Pedro Baez is solid. Strop is solid. Strom is solid. That 1-2-3 from setup to closer. But I think they're basically punting pitching. Just give us innings, because we know we don't want to pay like Zach Wheeler's out there just to get shelled for 82 games. 81 games, I should say. So I think Colorado is going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be pretty good again. 88 and 74 is your record for the Coyotes. All right, so the team everybody probably wants to talk about, the Los Angeles Knights. Custom player Dan Smith is going to get the start over Ronald Guzman, who hit 22 homers and 92 ribbies last year. I think some people are going to ask questions about that. They really are. But when you look at Smith, he's got the speed, he's got the contact, he's got the fielding. He's already pretty good. He might be even better, even though it's 72 compared to 70. I think Smith might have a better season in his rookie year than Ronald Guzman did. That's crazy to think about. LA, though, let's talk about this. So they had a good draft. They had a good offseason. You could argue that they won the offseason. I still think that goes to Dallas, but you could argue that LA won the offseason. They shelled out a bunch of money to go get Ronald Acuna Jr. They got Castellanos already there. They got Conforto already here. The outfield is deadly. Plus, you got Luis Basabe out there in center field, plays good defense. Hit 280 last year, even though the numbers would kind of lie to you and say that he's not a good hitter. Again, all relative compared to GGBL competition, but Basabe won the job outright. Acuna will play right, Castellanos in left. Nobody's really fast enough to play center except for Acuna, but they must feel comfortable with him playing right with Basabe manning center field. Plus Conforto again at the DH spot. You got Connor Joe, hit 24 home runs, 91 ribbies. Nick Maton, solid little second baseman. Carter Kieboom, Corey Lee. We're going to split time with Lee and Brody Jordan, another custom prospect. Just a good team, man. Plus they got Lewis Brinson now from free agency and wheel spin. Guzman, Ryan Braun. It's a real tough team. Guys, I think they will be the best team in the league. You heard it here first. I think they're going to be the best team in the league by 2 games. They'll be 98-64 ahead of the Carolina Blue Sox for the #1 seed in the National League, the Naturals League. And you take a look at their pitching staff as well. Like, there's no let up on this team. You got Tomoyuki Sagano, 19-10, Janil Rivera, who I want to talk about in just a moment, Shane McClanahan, Emerson Hancock, Akito Radon, custom player, Wes Benjamin, Brett Anderson they acquired through free agency from the New York Zaz, Jimmy Cordero, Jimmy Gerber, Jimenez, Brazier, David Hale, who they had from Phoenix, I believe. Yep, from Phoenix. No, he was always with LA. But guys, it's a good pitching staff, good bullpen. And let's talk a minute about Janil Rivera. So this is a player that was up on the board for Richmond, but he was sniped. He was stolen away by Los Angeles. He was taken right ahead of us. It's very frustrating because we really wanted a guy like Janil Rivera. Instead, we got Joshua Torre. I think we'll be happy with that. But Janil Rivera, take a look at his numbers, guys. He's got a knuckleball, a splitter, Vulcan change. He's the kind of pitcher that's got good control, limits the walks per 9, not going to strike out a bunch of people, even though the K per 9 is at a 49, so he's not going to strike out a bunch of guys. He's more that control type of pitcher. He's going to get that break going on too. Not a lot of velo, not going to blow it by you, but he makes up for that too by being crafty. He's a crafty little lefty, but he's also the two-way player that the GGBL has been waiting for. From Puerto Rico, 21, 75A, lefty arm, lefty hit. Look at the numbers, 61, 56 contact, 57 power, 53 power. Vision is solid across the board. Janil Rivera will get time in the field. Don't know exactly where he's going to play, though, because the outfield is pretty much taken up. Now, if he does want to play in center field over Luis Basabe, that is a possibility as a left-handed throw. Not very many positions for a 5'11" guy that's throwing lefty other than the outfield. So, do we have ourselves the first sightings of a Shohei Ohtani in the GGBL? Possibly. Could happen. Now, I've gone on record in saying that I don't have or want necessarily a lot of those guys throughout the league. This one was a special case because this is Keneal Mason's prospect. Keneal has been a part of this channel for a long time and even helped out with the creation of the GGBL, so I wanted to throw him a bone on this one as well. He has really wanted a two-way player. We're going to grant him that wish, and this is what he's going to get. So Janil Rivera, we'll see what he's going to do, but he is going to have to play the field at some point. I will make sure that he does get the 20 innings or 20 games threshold met. That's the story on Janil Rivera. I think LA is going to be the best team in all of the GGBL, not only because their pitching staff is just solid, but they've got so much depth in that lineup and in that field, in the defensive side of things as well. They're going to run roughshod over the league. Last 2 teams, we got San Diego and San Francisco, and then we're going to close this off with some special news for you all about the league. Let's talk real quick about San Diego. I think this team made some improvements. Again, they're just one of those teams that I feel like they made the necessary improvements, but they still need a little extra push. They did acquire Jonathan Scope from the major league, so he's coming over. You got Virgil Underhill, a prospect who is going to be improving. Look at that 81 power, 69 power. How many home runs did he hit? 24, 79, 237. He's going to be good again for this team. Royce Lewis finally getting a chance here at the GGBL level. Finally getting ready for this shortstop job to be all his own. You got Nacho Molina there, 6 homers, 34 ribbies. More of a defensive catcher, another prospect. Brian O'Grady had a really good season at the start. Kind of fell off at the end, but 15 homers, 274. Offense is going to play. It'll be pretty good. I think that San Diego will finish 4th in the NL West, 77 and 85. And their pitching staff is actually pretty good. They did make some necessary moves. Again, I feel like they made the right moves to improve the team. They've always had Marco Gonzalez and Gonsolin to be their 1-2. Bumgarner and Jake Arrieta acquired through free agency, so they're kind of waiting for their young pitching at their depth spots in their minor league system to come up. You got Bumgarner, got Arrieta. those two guys will kind of buy them time and eat some innings for San Diego. I think they'll be a good team. A competitive team this season, a lot more competitive than they were last year. But ultimately, that NL West is just real tough, man. I just don't think that they have enough to get over 500. So they'll finish 77 and 85. Last but not least, the San Francisco Grizzlies team acquires Tyler Glasnow, 91 overall pitcher from the major leagues. Huge. Absolutely huge addition for them. Also get Hunter Green back into the fold here. Only had 35 and 2/3 innings pitched, but he was very effective when he did get in. The bullpen, I love the bullpen here. This is one of the more solid bullpens in all the GGBL. You got Robertson, Hoyt, Moranta, Lutke, Adam, Green, Hess. I think Hess is going to be a good addition for them. He came from Phoenix last year. He was great for Phoenix. Didn't win a lot of games. He was a reliever. Actually, no. I read that wrong. I thought it was 9 and 17. 17 and 5 for Phoenix, so he's going to be really good for them. He could even spot start at some points. But the pitching staff in the first half for San Francisco is really what was helping them push to the playoffs. Yanni Chirinos was real good for a long time. Tyler Beede had some moments. You had Taylor Widener, who had some moments, who's actually down in AAA right now. But I feel like the pitching staff will have to step up again this season because the offense, it's got some work that still needs to be done. Now, when you look at it, you're thinking like Goldie, you're crazy because you got a speedy leadoff hitter. You got Hazley who can put contact on the ball. You got Yelich, you got Hira, Michaels, Trace Thompson, Will Till. It's a great lineup, right? Well, it looks like it on paper, but it needs to produce a little extra. Because you look at Satchel Michaels, 232, 17 homers. That's got to improve. Will Till, 209. That's got to improve. Kyle Holder, not a lot going on there. Jacob Nottingham, not a lot going on there. So that bottom of the order, even starting at the 5 hole, it needs to be a little bit better. But they did kind of help themselves out by getting Suzuki as a backup catcher. So he's probably going to need to start, in my opinion. They'll probably give Jacob Nottingham a little bit of a leash here because he is better defensively. But Suzuki probably needs to get in there at some point. Look at the contact numbers and the power against lefties. He's got to get in, I think. And he does. So he does get in against lefties. So again, as I kind of told you guys at the beginning of this, there are some platoon jobs that are happening here in these lineups. But, Yelich is going to Yelich. Hira, he had a really good year last year, 255. They're going to need it again. Hazley's going to have a similar year, if not better. But I think San Francisco is going to be a solid team. They're going to go 82 and 80. I'm just not quite sold on them compared to the other NL West teams. You play more teams in your division than you do the rest of the league. They got to go up against LA. They got to go against Colorado. And just looking at the pitching staffs of those two teams, looking at the lineups of those teams, I like LA and Colorado just a little bit more than San Fran. I think they go 82 and 80. And I think it's just a similar outputted season like it was last year for San Francisco. They'll miss the playoffs. They'll get a pretty nice little draft pick, I'm sure, in next season's Year 2 draft. But again, they could surprise. This might be a team that's a little bit of a dark horse if they get more production out of Till and Michaels. Those are the two big things here. Plus, they really need a Cy Young caliber performance from Tyler Glasnow if they're going to make a run in the NL West. So long video, guys. I know it's long, but I really hope that you got something of value out of this video. I wanted to go over the rosters. I wanted to go over the custom prospects, kind of show you guys that have custom players, kind of what they look like. Are they on the big league levels or not? The AAA, AA levels we didn't cover here in this. I think that would be a 3-hour long video at that point. That's just not something that we're going to do. If you do want to see your custom player, I have special news for you guys. That's what I really wanted to talk about here in this last part of the video. So if you guys are really interested and you love this series, my mod team and I discussed an opportunity for every Wednesday, every single Wednesday here on YouTube, we will be live streaming the GGBL as a podcast type of update video. Now what I mean by that is what we used to do with the Big 12 Team Builder Dynasty for NCAA Football 14 What we used to do there is every Wednesday in the middle of the part of the week, we used to post our videos on Saturday, highlight reel videos on Saturdays for college football. Every Wednesday, what we used to do is kind of give everybody an update on recruiting, statistics, previews, games of the week type of things, right? Kind of prep you guys and get ready for the video on Saturday. So because we have live streams over on Twitch on every Friday, a lot of times you guys have a hard time, or what I've heard is that you guys kind of have a hard time really knowing where teams are standing, what the statistics are, what your custom players are doing, and you're having kind of a hard time following the series, which I totally understand because baseball, probably a lot harder to follow. There's a lot more games, there's a lot more movement, there's just a lot of things going on with baseball than there is with football, right? Football is just week to week. You can follow it just a lot easier. So because of that, and realizing that, I think every Wednesday what we're going to do is we're going to have guest appearances. I'm going to have sort of podcasty type of presentation where we get to talk about everything GGBL related. If you guys want to come by in the live stream, you want to ask me about how your player's doing, let me know the name. We can go look at the player. We can talk about the player. We can have interviews. We can have player interviews. We can talk about what I think is happening with certain teams. We can develop storylines. We can talk about those storylines. There's so many opportunities here to develop the league as a whole, and you guys get to be a part of that too. All you got to do is DM me on Discord, message me through email, however you can get a hold of me. If you'd like to take part in the podcast, if you would like to be someone that was interviewed or talked to about what you think about the league and what you think about your players, what you think about your team's performance, we can even do some kind of those little interviews as kind of like a podcast or a radio style of show. Obviously, my mod team will be the focal point to have those discussions with. We'll kind of lead that conversation and drive that conversation, but I feel like that's going to be something that's going to be really fun for the series, and we'll be doing that every single Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I have a schedule for this. We should only be doing this for an hour to an hour and a half long. We don't want to be doing a stream for 3 hours, 2 hours. It's just not a good idea. So needless to say, I'm really excited about this development. I think it's going to be doing really well for you guys. I think it's going to do well for the series to kind of keep people updated on all the happenings of the GGBL. Also, in that live stream, every Wednesday, I will be letting you guys know what games are going to be shown on the Friday live streams on Twitch. So that way you guys have an idea of what you're stopping into when you come by on Twitch when you check out the games. That way you can either tune in, tune out, you can come in, you can come back to the games. Either way, like for example, let's say San Francisco was playing against LA at 6 o'clock. That's the time slot, right? You'll come by, you'll swing by at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You'll swing by, you'll watch the game, you'll either tune in or tune out. And then you know that the next game up is Dallas and St. Louis. You don't really want to watch that one, right? So you'll tune back in at 10 p.m. and you'll come by and you'll watch Richmond against Carolina. So that's kind of what I'm going to plan on for the live streams, is letting you know beforehand what games are going to be scheduled to be shown in the live streams over on Twitch. Which means once we get done with the Twitch streams on Fridays, regular uploads, the highlight reels on Mondays, then we'll take Tuesday off. We'll have a Wednesday podcast live stream where we get to talk about what we saw on the Monday uploads and the Friday live streams. And then we'll have Thursday off, and then we'll get into the live streams on Fridays on Twitch. So I think that's a good upload schedule for the GGBL going forward. Monday, highlight reels, podcast, radio show on Wednesdays, midweek, and then Friday live streams. Saturday, Sunday gives me time off to just go in and edit the video down, edit the live streams down to highlight reels for Monday. So that's what it's going to be like. That's the big news for everybody, and I'm really excited about that. So guys, that's all I have for you today. Make sure that you like this video. If you like what you saw here, leave a comment in the comment section below. If you're excited about the podcast, if you'd like to be on the podcast, get in touch with me, and we'll go on from there. So guys, leave a like if you like this thing. I will catch you later on this Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, over on Twitch. We're going to be streaming the first games of the GGBL. Plus, in the pinned comment section, I have for you guys week 1 of the contest, the weekly contest challenge. This will be a little bit different than we did last year. Remember last year we kind of did a daily fantasy type of challenge. You pick your 5 players, and however they perform, you get points. We're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to just have props. We're going to say, will Bryce Harper hit a home run in gameplay? Yes or no, right? And then we'll go from there. We'll have yes or no type of questions in the fantasy challenge. Top 5 winners will win a custom prospect, 70 overall B potential for year number 2. So guys, that's it for the video. I understand, a long one, but you guys are awesome for tuning into this thing. Leave a like if you like this thing. I will see you later on over on Twitch on Friday nights at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to kick us off for year number 2. I'll catch you guys then. As always, thanks for watching, and peace.